All I gotta do is put my mind to this shit. What's up, my dudes? First impressions of the official Monster Energy Supercross game. So, you're gonna have a lot of people out there that are so neck deep in Honolulu smoking that Maui Wowie with their honeymoon stage of this game that you're not even going to accurately be able to trust what they're saying about it. I mean, I can just see it now, dude. Like, just by the way the type of game it is and what's going on with it, I mean, you need to be really, really careful with who you're trusting and who you're believing on videos of this game, especially within like the first week of the game coming out, because there's going to be just so many opinions on it everywhere, every which way, and people don't even really know what they're talking about. So just be careful with that, okay? And I would say my first impressions video is probably going to be the most trustworthy level opinionated thing out there. I mean, I'm going to be talking about the positives of the game, negatives of the game, and everything about it. So let's just get in here, okay? So let's talk about the things that I said about the game before it came out and kind of what I think about it now that I've actually gotten my hands on the game. So also, right off the bat, let me just let you know I've rode on every single track at least once, and I have the 450 maxed out on exhaust, suspension, tires, rims, all that kind of stuff is maxed out, and I've got the physics settings to the max as well in the game. So I would say that between all the things that I said about the game before it came out, I mean, I got it about as accurate as you possibly could before actually putting your hands on the controller. I mean, honestly, I stick behind that 100%. I stick behind every single thing I said about the game 1,000 million trillion percent before it came out. I really honestly do. Now, one of the biggest sort of crazy weird things that I wasn't really expecting to be in the game was the fact that it actually feels like you're going pretty fast in the game. Like the speed filling in the game is pretty hardcore. I mean, they ramp that up quite a bit. It feels like you hit the damn NOS button for sure. Like just the general speed of the rider and how fast everything is coming to you on the screen is pretty quick, dude. So I feel like that was a pretty good improvement over some of their past games. Now, whenever you talk about just how the way the bike feels itself, I still would stick behind saying it is MXGP 3.5 Supercross Edition. So I don't feel like they've made enough changes and enough improvements to go as far as calling it like MXGP4 with Supercross tracks, but I still feel like they've made enough changes to not just call it MXGP3 with Supercross tracks. You understand what I'm saying? So it really is that MXGP 3.5 action going on here. So they've made, some improvements, but not enough to where I would say it's like what you would call truly the next game. I mean, there is a lot of, you remember a lot of those little janky like physics type things that would happen in MXGP3, like when you would land on somebody, like nothing would happen, you just bounce off of them like it's like they're a pillow. I mean, it's just no one's really crashing when you like land directly on the rider. There's a lot of little weird buggy physics style stuff where when you like, you'll come around a corner and someone will barely tap your back end and your whole bike will do a fucking 360 TP 720 and just fly off the track. All of that little stuff still happens in this game that happened on, like, MXGP3. So, getting all that out of the way, whenever you talk about the way the tracks are made and the physics of the actual game itself, it's all based around the corners. The entire game is all about the corners. That's where your entire skill gap is. That's pretty much where the whole game is. So, like I had said before and like I had suspected before, the whoop sections, I mean, hell, they might as well be flat because it'd be the same difference. Like, the whoops don't do anything in this game. They're not difficult at all. They don't take any time to learn. There's no skill gap to them. And that's crazy to think about that because in real life, whoops is like probably the hardest thing to learn on a Supercross track, and it's the most separating thing on a Supercross track in real life. But in this game, they're basically just pointless. And when you talk about your rhythm sections, I mean, you can underjump anything out there and overjump anything out there and land it just fine. I mean, as long as you keep your bike level when you land, you're not going to crash. I don't care if you come up short on a 100-foot triple or if you overjump, whatever, you're going to land it. So it is very, very forgiving in that sense when it comes to the jumping physics system. But, I mean, when you talk about the straightaways in this game, whether it be a whoop section straightaway, a rhythm section straightaway, or just a flat straightaway, your brain just sort of turns off. Like, you're just holding the gas basically wide open and you're not even thinking about what you're hitting. But when you do think about things is in the corners. That's where you really got to figure out, okay, now I'm going to hit the brakes this much and then come out of the corner and hit the gas this much because it's got that kind of cool, kind of like how MXGP3 was, where it's got that natural slide effect in the corners on the ground. So, that is still present in this game. It's very, very similar to MXGP3 in that sense. Like, for instance, if you rode on the Daytona track in this game and you didn't even really know what you were playing, you could honestly mistake that for MXGP3. I mean, that's how similar they are, but at the same time, there are little improvements here and there. Like, I feel like with the way you can pull up and lean forward on the bike is a little bit better than MXGP3. Now, there is some weird-ass shit in this game where when you, kind of, I think it was like Unleashed or Untamed, if any of you guys remember that, if you, like, jumped a jump and you pulled back a little bit too far on the bike, it was like there was a damn sniper in the stadium who just shot you right off the back of the bike. You know, you just poofed right off the back of the bike. Well, that is almost exactly how this game is. I don't know how they got it that similar to Unleashed and Untamed, but it's the exact fucking same thing. Like, if you come off a jump face and you're trying to hook up on the bike and you lean just a little too far back, you instantly pop off. And I think that's a really big problem. I mean, it like eliminates a lot of that feeling like you can really pull up on a jump face in the air. You guys know how in Reflex, I don't even think that's in Reflex at all, where you pull up and if you like get basically a 12 o'clock wheelie in the air, you don't just pop off the bike. I'm pretty sure in Reflex I know for a fact there's a lot more leeway with it in Reflex. But yeah, so I mean, you'll notice that kind of little bit of an annoying thing, but let's talk about the graphics. They are what you would call definitely next level. It's kind of got this cool like photorealistic art style to it, so it's definitely something we've never really seen before. So I mean, yeah, it's basically exactly what I expected on the graphics side of things. And what the fuck, Milestone? You still don't give us an option to make the whips and the turning exactly how it is in Reflex and Encore and Supercross? Seriously? Like, they have it completely inverted in this game and give you absolutely no option to swap that. I mean, you can put your like rider steering and then your actual rider weight and leaning control on opposite sticks, but then your whipping is going to be the opposite from that. So basically, like with Reflex, you turn both of your sticks one direction to whip. And that's where this whole dual stick controls, reflex controls kind of thing came from. And so theoretically, Milestone is taking that from them, and you're playing with a dual stick control, but they've got it reversed. So when you come off of a jump, you have to put both your sticks the opposite directions from each other. One's got to go left and one's got to go right to be able to whip the bike. And that's actually how you turn really sharp in the game too. And they give you no option to swap that around like how it is in Reflex. Like Milestone, do you not realize how many people are coming from the PC version of Reflex and Supercross, Encore, and all those games out there to play your game? Do you not realize that? What the fuck? Like, I'm never going to be able to get used to this. There's no way. There's absolutely no way, because it is like, it is so set in stone that that's how that is with the dual stick controls and reflex. Man, I mean, it's one thing to like have it in your game, but then to not even give us an option to swap it to how it was in reflex, that is insane. That's just stupid on your part. Like, no other way to say it. That's just stupid. You are being stupid for doing that. Like, it would be like saying, okay, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the original game, comes out with those amazing controls. Everyone loves it. It's like the greatest game of all time. And then let's just say Black Ops 1 comes out and the controls are reversed. Like, when you turn left, you actually go right. And when you turn right, you actually go left. And they don't give you an option to change it back like it was in the original Modern Warfare. Just imagine that horseshit. Well, that's exactly what's going on here with Milestone. They make it to where you can't change it. Like, you have to just somehow magically invert your brain from what you've been playing with motocross games ever since they've had the dual stick controls and try to learn this shit. Like, it's ridiculous, man. Now, let's talk about optimization. Oh boy. Oh boy. So, I bought this game for PlayStation 4, not Pro, okay? And the optimization is, it almost makes the game unplayable. I'm not exaggerating that. I'm not trying to just say that. Like, every single time, I'm not talking about some of the time, every once in a while, here and there. I'm talking about every motherfucking time you come off that starting line and go into the first corner, the game is literally going to lag so much that you think the whole entire game is going to crash. Every single time you go into the first corner on PS4 not Pro of this game. Now, I don't know how PS4 Pro version works. Let me know in the comments if you guys have had any optimization weird lag problems with it, but the original PS4, every time you go into that first corner, you think the whole entire game is just going to crash. I mean, it's so bad that, like, they really need to patch that. I'm not even joking around, dude. Like, it's not good. It's really, really bad. And just there is this overall sense of, like, the game will stutter here and there, most definitely. I mean, especially when you get, like, a couple of riders around you, the game gets this weird little lag stutter to it. So, yeah, there is definitely some optimization problems with this game, and I did actually have the game crash once on me on PS4 first day of playing it. So where it actually, if you guys don't know, kind of where PS4 is like, oh hey, we're sending you back to the home screen because this game crashed. Yeah, it definitely did that to me one time the first day playing it. So she's got some problems on PS4, so many problems that I'm just going to have to buy it on PC to really be able to make videos and stuff like that on it. But, so, yeah, it's got that aspect to it. The whole skill to this game is really just how good you can hit the corners. I mean, that's the whole entire skill to it, all right? It's how good can you hit the corners, and it's how well can you get used to this super fast speed filling in the game. What's funny about it is you start to realize that's actually where the whole skill of the game comes from, is the speed filling of the game. It's not even really like rhythm sections or whoop sections or anything else. It's really just trying to get used to how fast it feels like you're going in the game. So, I mean, I think it's almost borderline too much, and that's going to sound a little crazy because we've always wanted it to feel faster, and now they did it, and hot damn, they really did it. It just borderline almost makes you nauseous on how fast everything's coming to you in the game. Like, they really amp that motherfucker up when it comes to that. So, yeah, I don't know. Like I'm saying, it's borderline too fast filling. Too fast, too furious, too fast for y'all. Did I miss that movie so bad? But yeah, I mean, so that's something that you'll notice. And the collision in this game, oh It's god-awful, dude. It's god-awful. I mean, it's basically like a car racing game at this point, where you've got fucking bumper car simulator. I mean, that's what this game has turned into. It's like when you run into somebody, you're just kind of bumping everyone around. No one's really crashing, but there's this inconsistent basis to that where sometimes you'll run into somebody and you'll just kind of, it'll feel like you're touching a pillow, and then sometimes you'll run into somebody and just completely blow them completely off of the track, and they totally fly off their bike. Like, you can just never tell what the collision system is going to do in this game. There's absolutely zero consistency to that. It's not good, dude. I got frustrated more than a couple times off of that, where I would come into a corner and it's like you're trying to avoid the damn AI just running into your back wheel and totally spinning you around, like in places where you can't even see where they're at. It's kind of hard to explain that if you haven't played the game, but it gets so frustrating. If you put this game's difficulty on like hard or one of those top difficulties and you're really trying to pass some people, like, it's not a pleasurable experience, at least not for me anyways. Like, moving through the pack in this game, and it's just like you'll get behind somebody and run into them full throttle, and it'll just like totally slow down all your momentum, and you just won't be able to hit that next jump. Like, that's basically what happens over and over and over. And then you'll just get random things where you're trying to, there's so much slide on the bike in the corners, there's so much sliding going on everywhere, that most of the time someone else is just coming into the corner and just runs into your back wheel while you're sliding, and then it just slides you all the way around. That happens so much in this game. But yeah, I mean, first impressions, it's pretty much what I thought it would be, man. I mean, there is a little bit more of jump you up in the air feeling, I guess, than I thought the game would have. I mean, I'll admit that right now. There is a little bit more of that, but in the same token, it's every jump feels really, really soft. Everything, and by the way, I have actually tuned the bike to have full stiffness, full rebound, full all that kind of crap, all the way to the maximum, what you would think like a pro Supercross rider would have. So all that's maxed out as stiff as you can get it, and it still feels like every track just has this super softness to the dirt. Like, I don't know, it does not capture that like hard pack feeling whatsoever in this game. I mean, not at all. Don't matter what kind of track you're on. It totally misses that element. And when you're going into the corner, you don't feel like the bike is just going to like fall over anywhere. You know, you don't get that dry track feeling. Everything just feels like it's like a loamy, deep sand base to all the tracks in the game. So but as far as like some of the triples, I mean, they pop you up in the air fairly well. You can still come up short or over jump them, and you're going to be just fine, like I was saying before. But when it comes to the rhythm sections, I mean, there's a couple of places on a 450 where you got to let off just a little bit, or you'll like over jump the first triple and then you can't really hit the second triple. So there is somewhat of a certain level of skill to that, but I mean, all it takes is riding 2 or 3 laps on whatever track, and you've got that totally figured out. Like, it's, I mean, it took me 2 laps on every single track to have every rhythm figured out on them. Like, it's nothing like, oh, this is actually a hard rhythm. It's just, you kind of remember, like, okay, let's blip the throttle just a little bit over this one jump, and then we'll be just fine for the rest of the rhythm. A lot of the rhythms, it's not like you're really having to try super hard to huck out of a corner or anything like that. As long as you're on the gas in the corner, you're going to be able to hit everything. So, but a lot of what happens with the rhythm sections is you just find yourself not even thinking, you're just holding it wide open, and whatever the bike does, it just kind of does. I mean, there's like I'm saying, some tracks here and there kind of have where you let off a little bit in certain areas, but for the most part, you're just kind of blindly holding the gas down here. So, yeah, I mean, some of the customization options in the game, pretty cool. Some different stuff on that. You can kind of pick between a couple different riders and whatnot, but yeah, I mean, when you talk about just in an overall sense, my first impressions, I mean, some things are a little worse than I thought, some things are a little better, but it all comes around to where it's still basically what I thought it was going to be before it came out. I mean, it just is, you know. I mean, the graphics look good, like I said. The physics system, I mean, I think this whole entire game is going to get to the point where it's all based around custom tracks. I mean, the in-game editor made tracks, because they do actually have a jump on that where you can put like 3 triple jump faces, like, I don't know how tall, like 10 foot tall, I think, maybe, or something like that. 3 10-foot tall triple jump faces in a row, and you've got like a insane ass rhythm section. So I think that's where your entire game, after about a month of everyone playing it, it's all gonna go to the track editor tracks. And yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that. But I'm gonna make quite a few more videos on this game coming pretty soon. I got quite a few ideas for it. So yeah, so either way, I wanted to let you guys know my sponsor, SquidSquadSTL.com. Definitely go check him out. He's a small-scale, real-life professional Supercross rider, and he's got his own clothing line that he started. Got a lot of cool motocross-style shirts and hoodies and stickers and stuff like that, so definitely go check him out. And if you guys want to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Steam, Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, all that jazz is just Spencer Turley, no space, no capital. And also, if you want to donate, there's a link to that down below, and all the new donations will be read at the beginning of a video, and all my playlists are on my front page. So either way, I appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.